Walk into any grocery store today and you are stepping onto a battlefield. You are immediately bombarded with 1,000 conflicting messages. The packaging screams at you, low-fat, keto-friendly, no added sugar, high in omega-3s, gluten-free. The modern supermarket is a loud, confusing, and deeply anxious place to be. We have more information about food than any society in history, and yet we are more confused and unhealthy than ever. We've become so obsessed with the science of nutrients that we've forgotten the simple, joyful act of just eating food. What if the secret to eating well wasn't about following the latest scientific study or buying into the newest diet trend? What if the answer wasn't in a lab, but in the simple, time-tested wisdom of your own great-grandmother? And what if the most profound nutritional advice in the world could be boiled down to just 7 simple words? This is the brilliant and liberating premise of Food Rules, an Eater's Manual by the celebrated writer Michael Pollan. This book is not a diet book. It is not a complex scientific treatise. It is a work of philosophy. It is a short, powerful, and often funny collection of simple rules or policies designed to help us escape the trap of modern nutritionism and find our way back to the simple pleasure of eating real food. It's a declaration of independence from the food industry and a return to common sense. And it all begins with those 7 revolutionary words. The 7 words that will change your life. After years of deep journalistic research into the industrial food system, nutrition science, and global food cultures, Michael Pollan came to a stunningly simple conclusion. He realized that the core of healthy eating could be summarized in a single, elegant sentence. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. The first part, eat food, sounds ridiculously obvious. Of course we eat food. But Pollan's point is that a huge percentage of what is sold in the supermarket today is not actually food, it is what he calls edible food-like substances. These are the highly processed products of industrial food science, often wrapped in plastic, with a list of ingredients that sounds like a chemistry experiment. Real food is something that comes from nature. It's a carrot, a fish, an egg, a handful of almonds. It's something that your great-grandmother would have recognized as food. The first and most important rule is to simply distinguish between the products of nature and the products of industry, and to choose nature as often as possible. The second part, not too much, addresses the how of eating. It's a gentle nod to the fact that, as a culture, we simply eat more than our bodies need. But it's not just about quantity, it's about quality and awareness. This part of the philosophy is about learning to listen to your body's own signals of hunger and satiety. It's about slowing down, savoring your meals, and stopping when you are full, not when your plate is empty. It's a quiet rebellion against the culture of supersizing and mindless eating that has become the norm. The third and final part, mostly plants, provides simple, clear direction on what our plates should look like. This isn't a dogmatic call for vegetarianism. Pollan is not saying you must never eat meat. He is simply stating a fact that is overwhelmingly supported by both science and history. Human beings who eat a diet based primarily on plants are healthier. This means making vegetables, fruits, and whole grains the centerpiece of your meals, and treating meat more as a side dish or a special occasion food, rather than the main event at every single meal. It's a simple shift in proportion that can have a profound impact on your health. These 7 words are the compass for the entire book. All the other rules that follow are simply different ways of understanding and applying this single, powerful piece of wisdom. How to be a food detective. The first challenge in following the mantra, eat food, is that in the modern supermarket, it's not always easy to tell what is real food and what is just a clever imitation. The food industry has become incredibly skilled at dressing up processed ingredients to look like a healthy choice. So, Pollan gives us a set of rules to act as our food detective kit, helping us to identify real food and see through the marketing. One of the most famous of these rules is, don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. A potato? She'd know what to do with it. A Pringle? She would probably wonder what it was made of. An apple? Of course. A Go-Gurt portable yogurt tube? She would be baffled. This rule isn't about being nostalgic. It's about recognizing that for thousands of years, humans have been eating things directly from the earth. The human body is adapted to a diet of plants, animals, and fungi. It is not adapted to a diet of high-fructose corn syrup, polysorbate 80, and yellow dye number 5. Another set of powerful detective rules has to do with reading the ingredients list. Pollan suggests don't eat anything with more than 5 ingredients. While not a perfect rule, it's an excellent heuristic. An apple has 1 ingredient, apple. A bag of frozen broccoli has one ingredient, broccoli. A loaf of artisanal sourdough bread might have 4, flour, water, salt, and starter, but a box of breakfast cereal or a frozen pizza can have dozens of ingredients, many of them unpronounceable chemicals designed to improve shelf life, texture, and the bottom line of the manufacturer, not your health.
This leads to another related rule. Avoid food products containing ingredients a third grader cannot pronounce. If the ingredient list looks like it belongs in a chemistry textbook, it's a strong sign that you are holding an edible, food-like substance, not food.
And finally, there's the simple rule: eat only foods that will eventually rot. Real, living food is meant to decompose. A peach will get moldy, a piece of fish will go bad, but a Twinkie? It will famously last for decades. The extreme shelf stability of many processed foods is a sign that they have been so denatured, so filled with preservatives, that even bacteria and fungi, the great decomposers of the natural world, don't recognize them as food. And if they don't, why should you? Armed with the tools to identify real food, we still have to navigate the modern jungle where it is sold, the supermarket. The supermarket, Pollan argues, is a brilliantly designed environment, but it's not designed for your health. It is designed for one purpose: to get you to buy as much as possible, especially the most profitable items, which are almost always the most processed ones. So he offers a set of rules for how to shop smartly. The most important of these is, shop the perimeters of the supermarket and stay out of the middle. Think about the layout of your local grocery store. Where is the real food, the produce, the meat, the fish, the dairy? It's almost always located along the outer walls of the store. The middle aisles are the domain of the packaged, processed, food-like substances, the boxes, the bags, the cans, the frozen dinners. By physically staying on the perimeters, you will naturally fill your cart with more whole, unprocessed foods. Another powerful rule for navigating this jungle is, avoid food products that make health claims on the package. This is one of the most counterintuitive but brilliant rules in the entire book. We are trained to look for these claims: lowers cholesterol, supports immunity, a good source of fiber. But Pollan points out a simple truth: real food doesn't need to make health claims. When was the last time you saw a banana with a label that said high in potassium? Or a bunch of carrots bragging about its vitamin A content? They don't need to, they are what they are. The health claims, he argues, are a telltale sign of a highly processed product. The food industry is trying to use a scientific-sounding claim to distract you from the fact that the product itself is likely made from refined grains, sugars, and fats. The healthiest foods in the supermarket are the quietest ones. The lost art of eating, Pollan's philosophy, goes beyond just the what of eating. It is equally, if not more, concerned with the how. He argues that our culture has lost the art of eating. We have taken one of life's greatest pleasures, a central pillar of family and community, and we have reduced it to a solitary act of refueling. We eat in our cars, at our desks, in front of the television. Eating has become something we do on the way to doing something else. So, he offers a set of rules designed to restore the culture and the ritual of eating. One of the most important is, eat at a table, not a desk. The simple act of sitting down at a table, with a proper plate and silverware, changes your relationship to the meal. It forces you to slow down. It makes you more aware of what and how much you are eating. When you eat at your desk while answering emails, you are not truly tasting your food. You are eating on autopilot, and you are far more likely to overeat. An even more profound rule is, try not to eat alone. For most of human history, eating was a communal act. It was a time to share stories, to connect with family and friends, to build community. When we eat alone, we tend to eat more quickly and less mindfully. When we share a meal, we slow down, we talk, we savor. The social pleasure of the meal becomes just as important as the food itself. To truly transform your relationship with food, Pollan offers the single most powerful rule: cook, and if you can, plant a garden. When you cook your own food, you are no longer a passive consumer. You are an active participant in the process. You know exactly what is going into your meal. You are forced to handle real, whole ingredients. Planting a garden, even if it's just a few herbs in a pot on your windowsill, connects you to the entire cycle of food in the most profound way possible. It teaches you about the seasons, about patience, and about the small miracle of a seed turning into something you can eat. A philosophy of pleasure, not deprivation. Perhaps the most liberating and humane part of Pollan's philosophy is that it is not about deprivation. So many diets are about what you can't eat. They are based on a grim logic of restriction and guilt. Pollan's food rules are about pleasure, about intention, and about joy. He has a wonderful rule that says, treat treats as treats. He is not saying you can never eat a cookie or a slice of cake again. He is saying that these things should be special occasions, not everyday events. When you do have a treat, you should buy the best quality one you can find, and you should savor every single bite of it, without a shred of guilt. This makes the experience far more satisfying and helps to break the cycle of mindless, guilty snacking. This leads to his most brilliant and challenging rule of all: eat all the junk food you want as long as you cook it yourself. This rule is a work of genius. Do you want French fries? Great. But you have to buy the potatoes, peel them, slice them, and deep fry them yourself. Do you want a cake? Fantastic. But you have to get out the flour, the sugar, the eggs, and bake it yourself. What this rule does is magical. It doesn't forbid anything, but it forces you to engage with the reality of the food. The sheer effort required to make these things from scratch means that you will naturally eat them far less often. And when you do, you will appreciate them infinitely more. It recategorizes junk food from a mindless, everyday convenience to a special, labor-intensive treat. This is the ultimate goal of food rules. It's not to make you a perfect eater, it is to make you a more conscious, more intentional, and more joyful eater. It's about returning to a relationship with food that is based on common sense, on tradition, and on pleasure, rather than on confusing science, manipulative marketing, and self-punishment. The book is an incredibly empowering tool. It gives you a simple, powerful, and common-sense filter to help you make better choices in a world that is designed to make you choose badly. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound wisdom is not the most complicated. It is a deep inquiry into how we can find health and happiness by returning to one of the simplest and most fundamental parts of our human lives. If that is an inquiry that interests you, if you are ready to escape the noise and find the simple truth, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Geeky Philosopher. Subscribe, and let's continue the journey.